Salve te, we are picking it up in line 274 to 280. Remember that Aeneas is seeing Hector's ghost in a dream, and he's describing his reaction. This is all narrated for Dido and the banquet. And so let's continue. E mihi qualis erat, quantum mutatus abillo, Hectore qui redit exuvias indutus Achilli, vel danaum prugios iaculatus pupibus ignes. E mihi. This is an interjection. A, woe to me. Alas to me. Qualis erat. Of such a sort was he, meaning Hector, right? Such a sort was he. Quantum mutatus, how changed. Ab illo Hectore, from that Hector, and those are all ablatives with the ab, from that Hector. And one note I read says that ille, it has this sense of the famous Hector, okay? So from that renowned Hector of old, from that famous Hector. He's so changed in this dream from the Hector of glory that Aeneas remembers. And now he's going to remember these some high points in Hector's military career. Qui redit exuvias indutus Achilli, who returns, and it's a historical present here, who returned indutus, clothed, in the exuvias, the spoils or the booty, the armor of Achilles. We got a genitive there. Of Achilles. And this is another one of these examples I was talking about in the video before, where you have a middle use of the participle, where it's taking an accusative as its object. Clothed in the spoils. Usually we would expect an ablative there. Clothed in the spoils. So, alas to me, of such a sort was he. How much, quantum, I think translate that like an adverb. How much changed from that once famous Hector, or the former Hector, who returned clothed in the spoils of Achilles. And the who, of course, is also the subject of this. And this is a relative clause here. One like this. And why was he clothed in the spoils of Achilles? If you remember the story, he fought Patroclus, who was Achilles' cousin, wearing his armor, wearing Achilles' armor, and Hector thought it was Achilles. He killed Patroclus and then took the spoils of Achilles. But he was mistaken, it wasn't actually Achilles. Who returned clothed in the spoils of Achilles, or danaum prigius iaculatus pupibus ignis, or tossed, this is, you're missing the est here, who, having tossed, or you could add in est, who tossed prigios ignes, Phrygian fire, Phrygian here meaning the Trojan fire, who tossed Trojan fire on into, I guess that would be a dative, probably a dative of direction, to the boats, and it's danaum, that is really danaorum, because it's syncopated and they're missing the or. So on to the Danaans' boats. Who are the Danaans again? Danaans are the Greeks. So we got Phrygian here for Trojan, danaum for Greeks, or who tossed Trojan fire on the boats of the Danaans, of the Greeks. And this is the scene in the Iliad when the Greek ships were almost burned because Hector led a charge on them, and the Greeks would have been done for if that would have happened, most likely. I believe Jupiter or someone sent rain to put the boats out because the gods were on the Greeks' side in this case. And Troy was fated to fall. So this is what this is referring to. So these are both scenes in the Iliad when Hector is at his highest points, when he is most victorious. returning clothes and spoils of Achilles, or tossing fire on the Greek ships. And how different is this? How mutatus, how changed does Aeneas see him now, all bloody and gloomy looking in his dream? Squalentem barbet concretos sanguine crines vulnera quilla gerens, quae circum plurima muros accepit patrios. And these are more descriptions of Hector. He was gerens, wearing a squalentem barbam. And I'm not sure if this means in the past he was wearing. I assume so. And this is not so much taken to be a bad thing, I guess. A dirty beard, like dirty with blood of battle. Et concretos sanguine crines, and matted hair, or hair matted with blood would be a better way to say it. And hair matted with blood, and that's an ablative, sanguine, and these two go together. And illa vulnera, and those wounds. So one more time. Wearing a dirty beard and locks matted with blood, or hair matted with blood, and those wounds, and now we have a relative clause here, which the quae refers to the wounds, back here, right? Which he accepit, he received, circum, around, the muros patrios, the homeland's walls. And we missed that plurima, which, this refers to the wounds also. Very many wounds which he received. So this is, we had the wounds here, and then we're repeating it over here. And we get this nice effect of repeating the wounds again and describing them more. Wearing this dirty beard and the hair matted with blood, and those wounds, very many, which he received around the homeland's walls. And this is a very glorious picture of Hector, to have received these wounds around the homeland's walls. Remember, in this culture, it's very desirable to be seen fighting for your country and to die, for your people. Remember, Aeneas wanted to be this person dying before the homeland's walls when he was going to be killed at sea. He wished that he could have been in this situation. So for this people and this culture, this is a very desirable thing. So this whole image of Hector here is a very glorious image of Hector compared with the image that Aeneas sees before him, which we talked about earlier. That's my daughter. I think she's starting to wake up. Last part. Ultro flens ipse videbar compellare viret maestas ex promere voces. Voluntarily, the ultro is adverb here, voluntarily. It's ipse, and you got to put in ego ipse, I myself, because you know it's ego, because you look at the ending of videbar, and this is a passive, and that's the first person singular passive. I seemed, and remember, this is all in a dream, so I think this word helps preserve the idea that it's still in a dream, because everything is seemed to be this way. It's a little hazy for Aeneas as he narrates it, but he says, voluntarily, flens, weeping, and that modifies Aeneas, I myself seemed, there's the I, to compellare, to call the man, to address the man. And the virum is Hector, right? To address the man, Hector. I don't know if the use of virum here is similar to in the beginning of the poem when it says arma virumque cano, I sing of arms and the man. We know who the man is in this case, just like in the beginning of the poem. This man is Hector. He's the greatest warrior of Troy. So I don't know if that is any similarity there, but it kind of reminds me of the beginning of the poem in some ways. Let's keep reading. So, voluntarily weeping, I myself seemed to address the man. Remember, it's all in a dream. Et maestas expromere voces, and to expromere, to bring forth, maestas voces, gloomy voices, or gloomy words. And we remember we had the word maestas earlier when we talked about Hector in this passage, maestissimus Hector. Okay, so gloomy or dark or mournful, sorrowful, those are all good words to define maestas. Let's do this whole thing one last time, and then we'll conclude this video. Alas to me, of what a sort he was, Hector was. How much changed from that Hector, that once famous Hector, who returned clothed with the spoils of Achilles, or who threw Phrygian fire, Trojan fire, onto the ships of the Danaans and the ships of the Greeks, wearing a dirty beard and hair matted with blood. Think of the word concrete, stiffened, hardened with blood. And wearing those wounds, very many which he received around the homeland's walls. Voluntarily weeping, I myself seemed to address the man, to call him, and to bring forth sad words or voices. In the next video, we'll see exactly what Aeneas says to Hector.